Greetings, hello. Oh my goodness, wherever you are watching from, welcome, 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 and to you. Centers for Spiritual Living, the people of Centers for Spiritual Living, thank you for granting me the honor of serving you as spiritual leader for 3 long pandemic years. And I'm speaking to you from my home campus in Santa Rosa, where the people are who I must thank first. Because 3 years ago, when I came to the community and said, look, I want to run for this position, will you give me permission to do so? Because you're going to be all on your own. My attention is going to be diverted. You're going to have to sink or swim all by yourselves. And they said, we've got this. Do it. You know why? Because they knew then, as they know now, that the strength of a spiritual community is not in the spiritual leader. They knew that the success and the progress of a community rests entirely not on one person, not on the head, not on the leaders, but in the heart of the people who jointly carry the weight of growing and living together. So Santa Rosa, thank you. Thank you for your generosity and your patience. Oh my goodness. And to our staff in home office who are behind the scenes working right now. Oh my word, if there is one thing that I could say that I am going to miss the most about serving our movement, it would be working with you. Seeing you in action, doing what you do for us with grace and willingness and without the resources to do it, but still with endless demands on your patience and kindness, never thwarting you. I am in awe of you and I love you. And Dr. Sunday Cote, oh my God, our outgoing field leader. Dr. Sunday, you and I graduated together just a year ago. And we are ending our time in leadership together. But what will not end is my admiration for you. Because you consistently did the right thing. You are the real thing. Now, I would say I'm going to miss you, but I'm not. Because our friendship is solid. And Dr. David Alexander and the Leadership Council, what a trip this has been. 3 years in the pandemic. Oh, we had to grow, all right. And we lost some of our colleagues. Oh, Reverend, I gave him a doctorate, Reverend Norm Howard, how I miss you already every day. And our leadership, we had to face circumstances that none of us imagined would be part of this work. So to our leadership, thank you for staying the course and sticking to it. I love you. Last year at our conference in Indian Wells, I spoke about how we as a movement could do better. We could do better by looking at how we show up in the world and how we engage with the world through the teaching and practice of science of mind. And people were thrilled with the message. They came to me afterwards and said they had longed to hear that message. And after I spoke, several people came to me and said, those are great ideas. Now, what are you going to do with them? Do you have an action plan? Do you have a timeline? You better get a committee together, but you want to convert those ideas into action. You got to get out there in the world and tell the world, #we are CSL. Tell them about this teaching that we have that can change the world. Are you going to do that? I didn't say a word. You see, because I knew something. I knew that there were and are already plenty people who are plenty busy being CSL. I knew then that there were people everywhere in centers across the globe who were busy changing lives through social engagement based on science of mind principles. I knew that. And so I wrote to every single Center for Spiritual Living community, old style, low tech, a letter in an envelope with a stamp on it. And I sent it to them with the question, what are you doing? How are you and your community contributing to a world that works a little bit better for everyone through your social engagement? And oh my goodness, the responses that came in, it just blew up this idea that we don't do social engagement. And I have compiled the responses from the communities who answered my letter. Not everyone answered, but enough responses came in to truly paint the picture of what #WeAreCSL means. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, that report, all 49 pages of it, is being delivered to your inboxes. And it will be posted on our CSL website so you can read it, because in it you will read about some of our communities across the world who are engaged in creating a world that works a little bit better every day by the teaching and practice of the science of mind principles through social engagement. I'm not talking about a future to aspire to. I'm talking about what is happening right now. We have Center for Spiritual Living communities like Abundant Blessing Focus Ministry, providing water and food and supplies to environmentally challenged areas. We have communities like East Bay CSL who are attending, like so many of the other centers are, attending to the shelter list, hosting dinners for those who don't have food, partnering with other organizations, philanthropic organizations to address social inequities, to preserve natural resources. We have communities like Amazing Grace Spiritual Center who are supporting schools all over the world, USA, Cambodia, Kenya, Costa Rica, United States. I said that twice. You can read about it all in the report, and you will read in there that through our communities, we are building water tanks, fences, toilets, wells. Through CSL Grand Junction, we are thanking our medical personnel for their pandemic services, adopting streets to clean up, collecting and distributing socks and underwear and toys, and you name it. With CSL Oakland, we're showing up at Pride events. With Light on the Mountain CSL, we're supporting refugee relocation centers, empowering teams. Through CSL Ventura, we're helping children go back to school with all of the supplies that they need. We're collecting blood through CSL In Spirit. We're collecting more food through CSL Placerville. We're raising awareness about climate health. That's in Bellingham CSL. We're doing the laundry for the shelterless. We're delivering personalized birthday cakes. Oh, my goodness. And we're also engaging with programs that support refugees and displaced people in Thailand and in Ukraine through CSL Thailand and CSL Kelowna in Canada. CSL Morristown, yeah. There's more. CSL Morristown and other centers are providing jail ministries, health fairs, shoes for the shoeless, and feeding the pets of the unsheltered community. And we have communities that are creating stress reduction locations. That's happening in Reading. Reading programs for elementary students, Redlands, and CSL Bellingham and St. Augustine. They're cleaning up the beaches, stocking food bags, and CSL Santa Rosa is supplying menstrual health kits to girls in Panama, Lebanon, Chad, Jordan, and elsewhere. We have communities that are supporting voter education, financial literacy awareness, providing grief support, hosting other religious organizations who lost their place of worship during the pandemic. And that's happening at Founders Church of Religious Science, a Center for Spiritual Living icon. And I'm only halfway through the report. I haven't even gotten to the education and awareness some centers are providing about diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, like CSL St. George is doing. I haven't even got to what the Spanish-speaking communities are doing. It's in the report because they are busy. They are busy being CSL, like the Central Argentina teaching chapter. They're providing food, education, advocacy for youth and women and children who are in jeopardy of domestic violence. Or like El Centro para la Vida Espiritual Alquimia in Peru, which is providing resources, oh, it's so touching, for adolescent mothers. Oh my God, for low-resourced community, the work is so beautiful. Or like CSL Costa Rica, which provides support for indigenous communities that are stressed by natural disaster. Or like CSL, well, it's all there. The work is going on. We're in Peru, we're in Cuba, we're in Argentina, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, Europe, Africa, Asia, North America. And the report doesn't even get to the Colorado Fire Relief Fund donations that CSL Home Office facilitated for us, nor the humanitarian relief effort for Ukraine. Neither does it get to the strategic alliances and support CSL has for that organization, Green Faith, that fosters climate wellness awareness, or Faith and Blue Movement Forward that builds bridges between faith communities and law enforcement. Sometimes I get impatient with our vision of a healthy, loving world, because maybe like you, I want to see it demonstrated now, right now. And when I'm impatient, I forget to look at happening. What is happening right now? I forget to celebrate the good that is here right now. And I think it's because I'm afraid if I look at the good too much, I will forget what still needs to be done. We can't do that. So I have to remind myself not to focus obsessively on where I haven't got to yet. And I got to give some real time and real appreciation to the good hearts and souls who are doing the work already. We can do both. We can both celebrate the progress while we remain compassionately aware of the social challenges that confront our world. We can do both. We can call upon the wisdom of Bob Marley, who, without abandoning the need for social reform, inspired the world, the whole world, to not worry about a thing. Because every little thing is gonna be all right. And at the same time, we can know with that wise legacy of a leader of the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have many more difficult days ahead. And some of the old optimism can be superficial and must be tempered with solid realism." So, while every little thing is going to be and is all right, thank you, Bob Marley, at the same time with Dr. King, we can be cautious, in his own words, to not fall into a fantasy of self-deception and comfortable vanity. Oh, yeah. Oh, I am inspired by our dream of a healthy, loving world. I am. And in my desire for it to hurry up and show itself, I can get dissatisfied with how much further I have to go. And that's when I want to start talking about it. That's when I'm going to start telling you where I need to be and where I want to go, and tell the whole world about it, and demand that everybody get on the train with me. And so much talking about it. And what I know to be true, however, is that in the end, what will grow this movement is demonstration, not talk. And we are demonstrating, as you heard. And we still have more to demonstrate. I don't think we will grow into the vision by telling people how great we are. And not by a better social media campaign. Or by producing celebrity-style leaders. I don't think so. But by demonstration, evidence of lives changed. Now imagine this with me. When our lives, you and me, show the world what we say science of mind can do, when we start demonstrating all of that talk about prosperity, when our people exude loving kindness, not as an affect, but because they have so completely identified the nature of their own innate goodness, then the people of the world will flock to our centers and teaching chapters and study groups to get some of that. Yes. So my advice for transforming this world is this. Don't wait for some leader to show you how to be a religious scientist. If you have fallen for the saying that it has to start from the top, then think of yourself as the top. And get out there and be CSL. And if it is true that a consciousness of wholeness leads to social action, then so be it. Then contemplate the wholeness, that wholeness in you till it can no longer be still. Don't wait for permission to do good work. Bring what is inside of you outside. It is said that somebody asked Dr. Raymond Charles Barker for advice on how to attract people to their center. They complained to him, people are just not showing up. Apparently, he responded by asking, well, are you saying anything interesting? To which I would add, are you demonstrating anything? Are you doing anything helpful? Or are you talking about what may be? I'm not asking you, I'm asking me. I'm asking me, does my spiritual conviction produce results? It's a fair question. Otherwise, I just have to ask you to trust and have faith in my theory. So if anybody asked me for advice on how we ought to grow our movement, I would say, let us become so full of the consciousness of wholeness that it cannot be held back by social conditioning, that it cannot be quiet in the presence of racial injustice, that it cannot remain still when there is a work to be done. To become so interested in what love, as you heard, love is a synonym for the divine, for principle, to become so interested in what love can do through us in the world. And I'm talking about what is already happening right now. This is not a future to aspire to. I'm talking about what is happening right now through us, through our centers, through its people, because that is where the abundance is already. In the hearts of the people, in our generosity and in our loving kindness. Do you know that we are already becoming something that is beyond what our founding leaders could imagine? Last year in Barcelona, Spain, I visited La Sagrada Familia Cathedral. That building has been under construction for 130 years. Yeah. CSL has been under construction for less than that, But both not without difficulties, not without setbacks, war, insufficient funds, not the least of which has been a pandemic. And still, the building, it goes on. And I learned that the first architect of La Sagrada Familia, he quit. It's too much. And then the second, the famous Gaudi, he was killed in a freak accident. Yeah. Oh, the history of it so filled with so many setbacks, and still the building, it goes on. Sound familiar? And I learned that the early vision, the early version of the design looks nothing like what it is becoming today. Originally, the building was designed in the classic neo-Gothic tradition of the prevailing style. Now imagine if the architects had stuck to that. It would have turned out to be just like every other cathedral in Europe. Boring. It wouldn't perhaps have become the spectacular expression it is today. Who, back there in the beginning of it, could have imagined that it would and is becoming what it is today? Now, people of Centers for Spiritual Living, this movement is your cathedral. Oh, wait, is a better way to say it. People of Centers for Spiritual Living, you are the cathedral. You are the cathedral that is becoming what it is, and it is being built by you, inspired by a vision of a world that works for everyone based on the principles and application of science of mind. That is what is happening. La Sagrada Familia is like CSL. It cannot be restrained by what used to be. It must be innovative and relevant and contemporary and new and edgy and risky and adventurous. Like La Familia Sagrada, we must be a monument to inclusion without losing its identity. And it does. It includes and honors everybody who works on La Sagrada Familia. Like, the Japanese sculptor, I think his name is Etsuru, he incorporated Japanese facial features onto the nativity scene. So the vision of the cathedral is for it to stand as a beacon of hope and beauty for the world, with each generation contributing new art, new aesthetics, to further the vision. Even Gaudi, the most famous of them, when he came along, he changed the design, but not the vision. As would each successive architect who incorporated new scientific revelations, new aesthetic understandings. As everything came to life, it was incorporated. So what does it mean? It means to be open at the top. Have you heard that? Gaudi always left room for expansion and new interpretation. He knew that the cathedral would not and could not look the same forever. Is that not what our founder wanted for us? Gaudi said, "It is not a disappointment to me that I will not be able to finish this temple," he said, "because others will come after me to make it even more glorious." He knew that it had to go beyond his ability. It had to go beyond his understanding. It had to go further than his skill. It had to be more than his design. It had to be beyond his knowledge. It had to be more than his personal preference. We, CSL, we can know that too. That not only will others come after us, but there are among us right now those who are building a world that works for everyone in their own unique and individual way that may very well be different from what things used to be like. Ernest Holmes knew it. He knew that CSL had to be open at the top. He knew that the principle of mind could not be restricted to one person's expression. He knew that. And he must have known that the seeds of the greater yet to be that were being planted back then 100 years ago, that the community planting those seeds then could not imagine the CSL that would result now and in the next 100 years. I'd like to turn my attention for a moment to the next spiritual leader that we are electing right now. And I want to offer to you the advice and guidance that was given to me 3 years ago, right on the night I was elected. I was standing backstage waiting. It was only an hour behind schedule. And Dr. Kathy Hearn was giving the message, and she gave me some advice. And I was trying to take notes in the dark. It was very difficult, but I think I got most of it. And it turns out that the advice was particularly good. Not only for spiritual leaders, but also for cathedral builders, for all of us, for you and me, the people of Centers for Spiritual Living. And here it is. Reverend Blanca, you will like this one. Maintain a global heart and perspective. Notice the diversity and other ways of being in the family. Next, remember to take deep breaths. Especially wait before you press send on that email. Next, wag your tail, which means remember to dance and play and be joyous together, because celebrating is part of the vision of a world that works. And next, hear where people are speaking from and not so much only what they are saying. Next, lean into your own motivation, which means take responsibility for the emotional wake that your words and actions leave behind. You're building a cathedral. Next, take all of your vacation time. Because your rested self is the best version of you. And when you are so full with the awareness of wholeness, then you can serve the world and the vision from your fullness and not from your desperate emptiness. Next, keep an umbrella, because there will be stormy days. And next, don't break dates. Be a person of your word. And most of all, the most important of all, remember that what is calling you is a holy calling, a power greater than you are, that has a work to do. It has a work to do in this world that it cannot do except through you. So Centers for Spiritual Living, thank you for letting me be part of this 3-year practice of staying together, of growing together, of loving together. And keep in mind this, that the success and future of this movement depends entirely on what is at the top. And that's you, and me, and us, and we. And there's nothing that can be done about that. Thank you.
What he said. What he said. That's what I'm going to be saying. What he said. Can you come back up? So let's give him another rousing round of applause. As your new executive director, I have the honor today to honor this beautiful spiritual being right here. As our spiritual leader, took some notes, so I want to make sure I get it right. On behalf of leadership, staff, and the field, thank you, Dr. Edwards, for your caring and dedicated spiritual leadership, especially during these challenging times over the past few years. You are a divine light in this world, truly a servant leader. Some quotes from staff. What they appreciate about you is your ability to care about each and every one, while also knowing what to say and conveying what is needed to know, while understanding the full context of what is going on the surface, as well as deeply below. Thank you, James Peake. And we had a lot of staff, but that encapsulates what the staff said. This present is to let you know how grateful we are from the leadership, from the staff, from the field, for your servant leadership. Your heart, your soul, who you are. I was ordained when you became the spiritual leader, and I was so incredibly inspired and thought, this is all divine, right, and perfect time. And now here we are. Who knew I'd be in this spot? And what an honor to hear you today. You inspire us to be better, and you inspire me to be better. So a quote from Ernest Holmes is, "We should give ourselves in love and in service to others in a spirit of generosity and good fellowship. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive, for everything moves in circles. Real giving is the givingness of the self. A kind word, a thoughtful act, perhaps just a smile, can help lighten the burdens of others." And that's what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There are cufflinks with moonstones on them. They are absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much.
Those were Ernest Holmes' cufflinks.
They were?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, these belonged to Ernest Holmes. I just got all the goosebumps. Dr. Ernest Holmes cufflinks, gifted to Dr. Edward Viljoen for your dedication, leadership, and love as Centers for Spiritual Living spiritual leader. Wow. Thank you. Wow.